So whenever I have disposable income, I walk around and try new watercolors and art supplies. Usually they've been great. I score these like really nice Chinese watercolors, these yellows and this leaf green, they're really nice. I also recently scored these Russian gouache paint, which are really great. They have a propensity to mold up, as you can see, but these paints are also really good. Plus, these early 2000s or maybe late 1990s Marie's watercolors made in Shanghai. And to use an unfortunate term, I really got shanghaied with these because these are like the most awful watercolors I ever used. They look really nice, but 5 of them were frozen and rusty anyways. They were unusable. The rest, they're very hard and they don't feel like watercolors. And it's okay if they're hard, but they don't feel like gouache either. And all of their colors are like muddled and kind of gimmicky and like don't blend well. Come stain watercolors, too bad. So today we are going to create some alien creatures for my good friend Simon Roy's Altamira world building project. Let's just go. And if you notice, there's a very faint outline. That's not a coincidence because I usually sketch these at a smaller size. I sketch them like so. I mean, like this. And then I pick something that looks good, like, I don't know, this or whatever. And then I enlarge it, then print it on 10% transparency on paper. And then I go to town with it using just regular pens and stuff. So we are now doing a creature that looks like a Chinese dragon. I also nicknamed this the Chinese dragon creature, although it's smaller than a Chinese dragon. It's probably like less than 6 feet tall, long, but yeah, a nice sort of creature. And I hope you'll have a chance to see how my illustration process works for these naturalistic organisms. Since this is going to be a pseudo-arthropod, there's going to be swollen spaces around the joints, like so. So this thing has jaws, but they're actually very modified legs. So I'm just going to make that apparent. And this is the abdomen here, like a spider's abdomen. The rest of the body is kind of soft. So let us assume these are used for prey capture. So the tip is kind of sharp, like the beak of an eagle. And then there's some like gnawing serrations here, like so. So I did this thing here, so I'm just repeating it on the other segments. Just sort of getting my mind used to the idea of a segmented creature. So now I'm defining the leading edge of the legs. So I'm just doing that. Just going back and forth and servicing the anatomy, so to speak. So this creature is going to be like a fake arthropod. So it's going to have like slightly arthropod-like joints. But it's going to be implied that these things do not molt and grow. So we're kind of like treading halfway between a jointed appearance and a sort of more vertebrate-like fleshy appearance, basically. Thomas Strimpel says, what are your thoughts on Dune Part 2? Oh, I loved that film. Really loved it. I mean, there wasn't a single bad thing about it. Some people say it's too dragged out, but no, actually, that like immerses you in that world. The whole Harkonnen weird fetish bad guy was just like darkly amazing. Costumes, creature designs, vehicle designs, dialogue. It was beautiful, and I'm already thinking about going again. Lovely film, and some people have reservations because of the lead actor, Timothy Chalamet, like what's his name? I can see how he comes across as a bit smug, but that actually works to his advantage in the film because you see a darker side of his character, and like you really don't see Timothy Chalamet. When you watch the film, you see just Paul Atreides. So yeah. The base Gnome's Child says, I heard Twitch got banned in Turkey. Yeah, it was like a temporary ban, ostensibly against money laundering. But then I guess all the Gen Z kids rebelled, so the ban was revoked. Usually these things used to be far harsher. I mean, like YouTube itself was banned for nearly 5 years or 3 years. And it's just how these things operate in this part of the world. Everybody wants a cut, if you know what I mean. Gisema says, I read the whole Dune series and I love it. I wasn't sure if the films could do it justice, but I think I'm going to check them out. You should. The films are really great. And just for posterity, I unfortunately haven't read the Dune series, but I just might now. So I'm just getting these like kind of convoluted Baroque foot structure. So this is going to be a digging leg, so it's going to have like a wider muscle attachment here. This is semi-digging, semi-running, so kind of like a more sculpted attachment here. And this one is just going to be for running, so far thinner with maybe a process like this one, but certainly not like this one. And then this is like the major running leg, but it also supports the creature sometimes when it's kicking with these things. So this is going to have like a stronger quote-unquote heel attachment. So yeah, like when you're drawing creatures with multiple legs, you really need to go back and forth and like service the limbs individually. So now there's a nice game to play. Since this creature has lots of legs, maybe the last one could be free to use as a weapon or like a mating support or whatever. So this thing is like always carried in the air, and it's just like a big thing with claws used to kick. So it goes like chat. If you mess with this creature too badly, it's gonna kick your face in. So yes. So now let's service the individual body segments like so. Let's just give it a bit of a sort of textured appearance because, well, this is a living animal. So there. Then going another round with the outlines. Because, you know, remember the belly is facing the ground, so there's always more shadows there. So these lines need to be thicker. And most of how alive an animal or a creature is going to look on paper is going to come down to the thickness of the lines. If you fix these right, you can get a really, you can get a really nice effect. I just got bigger because I want to show you how this looks like on the big screen, which is connected to the better camera, unfortunately. Please also look at Simon Roy and consider supporting him on Patreon too. He's a great pal, and you know, unfortunately I hate paywalls, but in this day and age every penny helps, and you know, your support makes my life possible. So yeah. Turns out I imagined it upside down. The mouth is at the bottom, but I'm loving it. No, this is the mouth. This is the mouth. This is the head. It's basically like a kind of like a fox with many legs that runs around, and a kicking rear leg assemblage. So this thing I'm using is like a random ass hotel pen, like so. The thing with these pens is sometimes the ink runs slow, So if you just do like a very, very light shading, it can actually work like a thin shader. And that's the effect we're using here. You can do little circles to imply a more complicated surface. Now, unfortunately, Simon Roy had provided a complicated guideline set for how these creatures operate, but I haven't really looked up how they breathe, so it's time to play some games. Maybe the nostril is here on this segment and here on this segment. So like just kind of holes here and there. But maybe on this segment, the nostril has been changed into something like a mouth, so it can go here, so there's a flap here. Yes, looking very good. Thomas Strimpel says, this creature reminds me of a Chinese dragon crossed with a dragonfly larva. Nice. But it's quite big, so like, I think this would be the size of a cat next to it, you know? Yeah, this is the scale, right here. Since Jakub is new here, I'll just repeat my message. When you're doing multi-legged animals, always share the same details of anatomy. Like always work on the same details of anatomy on different legs. So I'm doing these like shin crests here to highlight its musculature. So now here's the real question. Like, this is a false arthropod. I think this thing has like some sort of internal support, but I want it to look like an arthropod. So these joints, we're just gonna like draw like so, and then maybe the bottom will be like the shin or whatever. It's gonna be like a bird's leg a little. And even though we're doing like very precise stuff, you should never be afraid of like going all in and making raw details. Once again, let me just grow this window and show you the real deal here. Show you some close-ups of the line work.